Welcome to Screen Riot. This week's movie is Cool World, an animated film from 1992. This episode will contain major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, it's available to stream on Amazon Prime or rent on Apple TV+. Go check it out and come back to the podcast because this is Screen Riot. Welcome back to Screen Riot, the podcast that lets fate choose the movie we review. Have you ever spent more time scrolling through Netflix than actually watching a movie? I'm sure we've all done that, right? If you've answered yes, this is the podcast for you.
Okay.
I'm one of your hosts, Justin, and alongside me are my co-hosts Eddie, Kyle, and John. And each week one of us spins the genre wheel, and that person must pick any movie that falls within that genre. If you'd like to see all the movies that we've reviewed so far, please visit screenriot.net and have a look at the movie ratings page. At the end of each show, we'll spin and see what next week's movie is going to be so that you can play along at home. So I have a bunch of exciting announcements that I want to get out real quick before we get started on this crappy movie that we're going to review.
It is super cool, man.
You chose it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Announcements. What an incredible waste of time.
No, I like this. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
So if you'd like to hang out with us live, please consider joining one of our Patreon tiers. That includes Discord access, and you can join in all the fun conversations that we've been having of lately.
Yes.
We're also excited to announce a great opportunity for any of our listeners to be able to commission personalized movie reviews. It's the first time we've ever done this. So just head over to screenriot.net and click on support, and you can learn how you can have us review one of your favorite movies, or perhaps force us to sit through the worst movie you've ever seen.
Shout out to Red Rum.
Eddie really loves Gone with the Wind.
No, I'm thinking about that other shitty movie he put up the other day. What was it called? It was
One Cut of the Dead.
There you go. It wasn't Birdemic, I know that,
Yeah.
but it was pretty
You wait.
awful.
It's coming.
Yeah, so if you want to commission one of the movies from us, just go to our webpage, look at our movie rankings. If we haven't already done it, then it's fair game. Right?
Yep.
So if we've already done it, though, look for something else and then submit that.
I'm actually really looking forward to that.
I am too. I think that'll be kind of fun. Little, people picker.
We'll
thing.
see. We'll see. Sounds like a punishment in a jar, but it's okay. We'll try it.
Nah, it'll be
Why
fun.
not?
And last but not least, our new online shop is up. So head over to screenriot.net, click shop, and you can see all of our new designs that we have. We're going to be adding more soon, so keep an eye out on that. And finally, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Let a friend know about the podcast, because that's how we grow the podcast, right?
That's right.
Word of mouth. So if you're enjoying this little thing that we do, then go ahead and spread the word for us, help us out, and help the podcast grow. And actually, speaking of podcast reviews, we got one this week from Junior 24506.
I love it.
I don't know what that number means. Like,
I don't either.
was
It's
the
probably
number?
just a randomized number that Apple gave the username.
24506. Is that like age, sex, location? I
No,
don't
it's
know.
their birthday. It's their birthday.
Maybe.
2/45. That's a normal day in a month. 06. This person's 15.
Gotcha.
Sure. Maybe
Well-
on Mars, but
Well, Junior Random Number writes, extremely honest reviews with different opinions. You guys invest a lot of attention into detail in the different aspects of filmmaking in every review. I've listened to reviews before, and after watching a movie, they seem pretty fair.
hey, all right.
Nice.
So we're fair.
Thanks, Junior.
It could be worse.
I strive
Except for-
myself on not being fair, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, except for Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then before we get started, I got one more thing. I do have some movie-related news. Famed film director Richard Donner has passed away on Monday, July 5th. Donner got his start in TV in 1960, where he directed shows like The Tall Man, Have Gun Will Travel, The Twilight Zone, Gilligan's Island, Get Smart, tons of stuff, tons
Yeah.
of big hits. He made his film directorial debut in 1976 with the critically acclaimed hit The Omen. Donner helmed some of the most iconic 70s and 80s movies, including Superman, Goonies, Lethal Weapon, Maverick, Scrooged, go on and on. He died at the age of 91, and as of the recording of this podcast, they haven't released why he has passed away yet, but I'm going to say old age.
I was about to say he was 91.
91.
I think you
Yeah.
just kind of you nailed it. Good
That's
job.
probably it.
Yeah.
My medical degree is working out.
There you go.
So I posed a question real quick to you guys, since we're all film fans, I'm assuming.
No.
Richard Donner, what's your favorite film from Richard Donner?
Well, and I was thinking about this, and I'm going. I'm going, okay, yeah, Superman. I'm like, no, wait, no, Lethal Weapon. I'm like, no, wait. The other Lethal Weapon. No, wait, the other Lethal Weapon.
1 through 4.
And then I'm like, oh, so no Scrooge. But then I remembered growing up and watching the westerns with my grandpa, and we did not just watch John Wayne. We also watched other guys, and Maverick was really good.
Yeah.
I have fond memories with my grandpa watching Maverick, so I'm gonna say Maverick.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, I really enjoy Lethal Weapon. I love Mel Gibson and his Riggs. I'm getting too old for this shit. You know, I love that.
Well, it's Danny Glover. But
I know
okay.
it's Danny Glover,
I'm
yeah,
just
but
saying,
I mean,
you know.
just that's what Danny Glover would say to Riggs.
That's
and
true.
Mel Gibson.
That's
so.
true. He would say that. I don't know.
Hey, you guys having a party?
I'm kind of.
Hey Mo.
I'm kind of split. I mean, I think The Goonies is a solid movie in a lot of ways. I think Lethal Weapon is very, very good. Maverick is also very good, as John pointed out. Superman, the first Superman, was excellent, and The Omen was excellent, as you said. I think that it should be noted that his later works were pretty shit. So I think he pretty much stopped making good movies in 1994.
Yeah.
But,
his last
you
movie
know.
was 16 Blocks in 2016.
Yeah, which I wasn't a fan of. You said you liked it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, but the movie before that was Timeline with
Which I never saw, actually.
it's got Gerard Butler and Blondie from Fast and the Furious, the one who died in a Porsche. So sadly, died in a
Spoiler
Porsche.
alert.
Well, not in Fast and the Furious, in real life.
Paul Walker.
Paul
Walker. Yeah,
yeah.
he died in real life.
Spoiler alert.
For
Right?
real life. Jesus. Anyway, it was like a time travel movie. It wasn't very good, but I don't know. I think he had some really big hits, but again, late 70s, I should say, 80s and 90s were his best. After that, I'm kind of forgettable.
Yeah, I think probably like Superman. I love The Omen. Maverick, always great.
Yeah.
You know, actually, now that you mention that, I don't think I've seen it in a few years, 4 or 5 years. I might have
Something's
to.
gonna be on the list.
Yeah, I might have to. Might have to watch that, or have somebody commission the movie.
Yeah, if you guys want to.
That
Could.
might be nice.
Or maybe you
Speed
could get
tracking.
comedy, and instead of picking Maverick, you'll pick something else that's awful.
Yeah.
Like Cool World. Oh,
Yeah.
wait!
Oh, that's what we're reviewing today.
The smile on your face, by the way, like, I choose awful movies.
It's almost like it's on purpose.
Yep, bottom 10. 7 of them are Justin.
Just about.
This is where we reveal we were just kidding about Cool World, and we actually did something else.
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish. But unfortunately, no, we did Cool World.
We didn't.
Yep.
Let's
Well,
go.
with all that being said, the movie we are reviewing today is Cool World, as we mentioned, and the synopsis is as follows. After a motorcycle accident, Frank Harris, played by Brad Pitt, is transported into the cartoon realm of Cool World, where he remains the only human among various animated characters. 50 years later, artist Jack Deebs, played by Gabriel Byrne, also enters Cool World and sets his lustful sights on his own creation, a blonde bombshell named Holli Would, played by Kim Basinger. However, excessive intermingling between cartoons and humanoids is said to lead to dire consequences, a risk Jack seems that he is ready to take.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's ready to dive into that ink, if you know what I mean.
Don't blame him.
Yeah.
The cartoon version? Sure. Kim Basinger? Not so much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
thought she was pretty.
I think she looked like...
Terrible actress on this, but
Yeah, I think she's looks like she's been ridden pretty hard in this movie, to be honest. There's a lot of miles under those eyes. It's not a good situation.
But Brad Pitt is fresh like a new baby.
oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
really.
Okay,
young
I didn't
Brad
expect you to say you were going to jump into Brad Pitt, but okay, Kyle, let's investigate this.
No, you're
Is this
just
where we're
you're
going?
just talking about
Pitt. Keep your ink pen in your pants.
yeah, right.
No, remember, he can dip into Brad Pitt because Brad Pitt's not a cartoon at that point in the movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, the film is 1 hour and 42 minutes long. It's rated PG-13 and was written and directed by, it was just directed by Ralph Bakshi.
Bakshi?
Yeah. Okay.
Bakshi. So he's mostly done a lot of TV cartoon stuff. Nothing really of note in the directorial thing. So, and obviously this is not an Oscar contender.
You don't say.
I would love to see this in an Oscar film.
Yeah, real
or
quick.
Oscar nomination.
Pop quiz: 1993 Oscar Best Picture. What won?
Ooh, I have no idea.
It wasn't Forrest Gump. That would have been 94.
Yeah.
No clue.
What was it?
Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven.
Oh.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's Unforgiven that we forgot that.
Bah, why?
No.
Right.
No.
So there was.
Let me guess, crap film?
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's not great.
It's okay.
Yeah.
This did win one award though. An award from the MTV Movie Awards.
The Razzie Award?
Jesus
It
Christ.
did, well, no, it actually didn't
Oh, man.
win. Kim Basinger did win, but for a previous movie, the previous year's movie.
Oh, okay.
What, Three Musketeers?
No, it was a movie I've actually never heard of, but I think it had Michael Douglas in it. I'd have to look it up. It was like from 1991 or
Dang.
92. But no, so Kim Basinger actually won for most desirable female.
In this movie?
Okay.
Which, yeah,
Well, it's because
As
she's
the cartoon version or the real life version?
I don't know. This is what the site told me.
She was
All right.
exposing as much as possible.
And I
That's
didn't
why.
really realize. I thought her name was Holly, like Holly, and then Wood. Holli Would.
No, Holli Would, as in she would if she could.
If she could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was just
Yep.
bad.
The original script, her name was Debbie Dallas.
Okay, Debbie does Dallas.
You know where that reference? Yeah, that's exactly where the writer or the director, Ralph Bakshi, he wanted to reference the porn film Debbie Does Dallas.
So was Jack Deebs, Dallas Deebs.
Oh, I don't know.
In this film, I think that would be appropriate.
Probably
Just
would
right
be.
on the nose.
Yeah.
Was this writer on LSD or something? Or had a major case of ADHD?
Well, actually, the original script was supposedly way more R rated,
Oh,
like almost towards NC-17. And apparently, the studio and when Kim Basinger got attached to it, they kind of, I guess, she had some kind of influence on the studio or something, but she brought her concerns up to the studio, and the studio basically softened everything up, and it wasn't. It was originally pitched like a animation horror movie,
okay.
and like it got softened up in some way, and this came out.
Okay.
Which is totally weird because the writers, the two writers credited are Michael Grass and Mark Victor. They wrote Poltergeist.
Wow.
I'm like, so they went from Poltergeist to Cool World.
They
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Well,
they
I mean-
probably had some leftover, crap in their mind that they just needed to
Maybe.
get out.
Well, it's possible. I think that's what Justin's saying. I mean,
Right.
it's possible that the original script was 10 times better than what the studio eventually put out. I mean,
May have been, yeah.
Because, I mean, you can sort of see, I could see where this could easily be a horror movie. I mean, there's some scary-ish shit in it, to be honest with you. Like
Yeah.
Hollywood freaking out on that ledge, later on in the movie and pushing Brad Pitt off, that type of thing. Like, it's kind of scary, like there's elements of that are kind of freaky. And the whole, the cartoon world is essentially filled with insane people in a weird way. I mean, it's basically a bunch of insane,
Right.
art pieces gone wrong. There's an element to that is, horrific in a weird way.
Yeah.
So I could see that. Yeah.
Guys, I just came across a piece of trivia.
Okay.
There's a Cool World video game.
Yeah, we've seen
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
there is. It's a Super Nintendo game. I'm pretty sure I played it.
Really?
Yeah. I played it once when I was a kid with a friend who had it, whose parents bought it for him, and I remember we spent maybe 10 minutes on it, and I was like, "Oh, this is boring as shit. Let's move on."
I think I rented it from Blockbuster once.
It was like a weak, kind of like a Mario Brothers type style game where you start out on the left, and as you move, the world moves 2D style, and you're
Side
kind
scroller.
of and you're going through levels and all that shit. It was just boring. There was nothing to it.
Yeah.
Back to Punch Out.
That didn't move. Just
Yeah.
up and down.
Yeah, just up and down. Back to Punch Out. Yeah.
Screw that traveling game.
Right?
So we open up. We meet Frank Harris, who again is played by Brad Pitt. It's the year is 1945 in Las Vegas. He is taking his mother for a motorcycle ride where they get into an accident and his mom dies. And so I laughed twice in this movie.
Oh, jeez.
One
This-
during the death scene?
This is one of the parts where I laughed.
Oh, dude.
The
Okay.
the low angle shot of that ragdoll mother flying across the screen
Okay.
made me
Yeah.
laugh my ass off.
Okay.
Okay, I can see it.
Yeah.
It
That's
was so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that scene in particular, besides the ragdoll, mannequin they obviously used for the
Yeah.
mom, the way the cops are acting, the way the EMTs are acting, Brad Pitt overacting, being like, I'm better than this shit movie.
So when his PTSD going off over the top.
I was okay with that. I mean, I was more or less okay with that, but just the whole movie, that scene in particular, though, it just feels very cheesy. I mean, the whole thing just felt cheesy. You know?
See, to me, I thought they were going to go into, because I knew, from the movie trailer or the poster.
Yeah.
Okay, that Brad Pitt as a human is going into this cartoon world, right? Mm-hmm. I thought that they were going to pull kind of like a Jacob's Ladder type thing where he's there freaking out and he goes into some sort of like death state of he's dying and then
so
he's
like
starting
PTSD
to like
kind of thing.
Yeah, he's starting to like animate everything and he's going to go through this cartoon world and like go to passage,
so
go through.
That might actually have been more interesting.
I was about to say, so the movie you just wrote is about 10 times better than the movie that actually
and see,
was.
that's what my first instinct was, and I'm thinking, oh wait, no, hang on, there's this doctor that just split the screen
randomly,
and he was like, oh, look at this guy, he's excellent, and I'm like, okay, this really got weird really quick.
Yeah, just like the Doctor ripping open our universe, there's no transition. Really had it.
I was my mind was blown on just how quick the cartoon scenes came into this movie and how they came into this movie.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, which is totally out of place. But then and Eddie will back me up on this. The science of this film,
It's all over the place.
just is not. Well, how do they decide? Like, okay, I'm gonna split this open here, and now I'm looking at Brad Pitt dying on the side of the road. But then whenever I come back, when Holli Would and Jack come back, it's at his house.
Yeah.
So okay,
Right.
so there's that. Okay, I'm gonna have to jump through this film a little bit to say this part, but there was a missed opportunity with the Brad Pitt part at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. When him and his mom had the accident,
Right.
his mom goes flying through the air this way.
The little Muppet doll, yeah.
Yeah, he should go flying through the air the other way and then just disappear. Just fly. He flies out and he gets
into
sucked.
the
He gets
dimension.
sucked into the
Yeah.
cool world. Instead, he disappears right in front of the two AMTs.
Yeah.
Just electrobolts out of there. Right. That doesn't get discussed ever. Like the world just is going to move on. Like this guy just disintegrated in front of two people on the side of the road.
They just go, oh, well, we can close the books on that one.
Yeah, it saved us some time. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Then the other part is later on, whenever Brad Pitt is talking about Gabriel Byrne's character Jack Deebs coming into Cool World, they're saying like, who was he explaining? He was explaining it to somebody. I think he was explaining it to his girlfriend.
Yeah, Lynette.
To Lynette. That basically, Holly's pulled this guy in, and I got to go find out what's going on, and blah blah. Another one of these guys who visits Cool World, just because, or just in a dream or whatever. So it appears that Cool World is a muse center, so to speak, for people who draw cartoons. They're not actually creating cartoons. They're tapping into this universe, this world that actually exists, and they're pulling out ideas that already currently exist in this world. Because he even makes the comment that this is another asshole who thinks that he created this place. Well, he didn't create the place. He tapped into that place and is using musings from that or inspiration from that world. Doodles.
I can't even make fun of you for mansplaining that, because I did not pick up on that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing's explained. But the bitch of it is that apparently
it is now.
But okay, fair enough. But the bitch of it is that apparently, according to Brad Pitt, and it's literally 2 sentences in the movie, other people are visiting as well, which is why that rule of no sex between humans and inks.
Oh,
Isn't that what they call them?
Doodles.
Doodles. Thank you. Doodles and humans, that can't happen because humans do apparently just randomly show up there. The reason I believe goes back to the scientist ripping open that universe.
Oh,
before that tear, they were separate.
Gotcha.
Right.
That appears to be why that tear is so instrumental, and why him being pulled into that world is so instrumental.
Yeah, so you're saying there's been multiple people throughout 50 years.
Yes,
since coming over. You're right. That's interesting, because the way I thought it was that Jack did create this entire world, like over time, whenever he started writing or drawing, like say as a kid.
Yeah.
He's created all these random things, and that has been in his world. Like you even see like little sketches every now and then flying across the screen. And I'm like, okay, well that's like a sketch, like when you're first learning how to draw humans.
Yeah.
Right. That's how you sketch them.
Right.
So you can do symmetry and all that. So that's why I thought, yeah, this is what he's created.
And I was kind of on the same track just because he seemed like he knew everybody. He knew all of his creations. He's like, oh, what's his name? And
no, he knew.
And
He knew some
like,
of them. Yeah.
Oh, I guess the bouncer. That was a pretty funny scene. The bouncer that was bouncing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But he recognized him and he called him some name and he's like, I'm not
Jocko
this guy
or something?
or something like that. I'm such and such.
Yeah.
And
No.
I'm like,
He knew some of them, but
Right.
but again, I think it's more that whenever he goes to sleep, in particular, and since he was a kid, like some people are just more in tune to cross this mental boundary and touch that universe, right?
Yeah.
Since was a kid, he has mentally gone there, in his dreams and touched this universe. And then when he comes back, he uses that inspiration to then create his Cool World drawings. So technically speaking, yeah, he did create the Cool World drawings here in this universe,
Right.
but he didn't create that world.
Right.
He just touched that world, saw those drawings, and then creates them here.
That's an interesting take on it.
definitely went way deeper than.
Well, but the bitch of it is,
Well, you're right. There's only that's like a throwaway line, and I remember,
Yeah.
I remember Brad Pitt saying that to Lonette.
yeah,
But I guess it just doesn't click. It didn't click to me.
yeah. He even later on, he even makes another comment about, he's another asshole who thinks he created this place, and it's like, no, he didn't create it. He just it's always existed. The other thing to tap into here is Jack Deebs is not that old. I know Gabriel Byrne is playing Jack Deebs, and Gabriel Byrne has looked about 55 since he was in his 20s.
Right.
That doesn't help the situation. He's like fucking Steve Martin,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Steve Martin's been gray since he was like 21 years old. That
Yeah.
doesn't help. Like, how old is Steve Martin now? Nobody knows because he's been a gray-haired son of a
103.
bitch. He might as well be, right? He's been gray since he was 21. Gabriel Byrne is only supposed to be like 30 years old in this movie.
Right.
Right, so 30 years, even back from 1991 or 19. When was this movie made?
92.
92. Thank you. Even from 92, you're only looking at 52.
Yeah.
Gabriel Byrne would have been alive in 55, obviously, or no, wait, 45. Didn't he come back in 45?
Yeah.
Brad Pitt
Brad
came
Pitt got
back
sucked in 45.
in 45.
Yeah.
So Gabriel Byrne wasn't even alive yet.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? So he was in a universe that was already created pre Gabriel
You're
Byrne
right.
even
Oh,
being
that's
alive.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
But, well, I was gonna say the universe that he walked into was very empty. When Brad Pitt came in, it was very empty and only had like 2 cartoons or something like that, and they were like bouncers or cops or soming like that.
well, just in that little room that he's
Just in that little room.
Yeah, I don't think the world is actually technically empty at that point. I think that it was just the piece that we get to see.
Yeah,
in
maybe.
in that way.
Yeah, because then they just kind of flash forward to
Yeah.
92 or something like that, and then
Well,
that's when everything was there.
if you go with the logic of this movie, every cartoon you've ever seen,
Yeah,
every cartoon, right, exists in that universe.
right.
Not because it exists in our universe, but because it already exists. It exists in our universe because whoever drew it in our universe tapped into that universe and used his inspiration,
Right.
from that universe to create it here.
Right.
But who drew them first?
They
Well,
weren't.
that's the thing.
They're not drawings.
They're just
Oh, they're just
they already
random
exist.
animations in
Yeah.
their heads.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're. It's a universe filled with ink-driven life forms.
Yeah,
Every life form that's there is actually alive.
gotcha.
It's just alive in that universe.
Yeah.
and is made of ink.
And be killed with an ink pen, just like that.
Yeah.
It's a fucking weird setup, but I didn't write the movie. But yes, John looks like he's contemplating something. Yes, John.
Well, I'm almost wondering because they call themselves doodles.
Yeah,
Right.
So I'm wondering if Cool World is created once a character is made from it, rather than the animator tapping into the world to get the character and pull them out. Whether the animator comes up with a drawing and then they exist.
Yeah, they just doodle
That
it.
character
and then-
exists, but the world doesn't exist.
yeah, I see what you're saying, and that's, I mean, perfectly plausible, right? Why not? It just doesn't. The movie doesn't give us 100% enough information
That's what
to
I was gonna
support it
say.
in any
Right,
direction.
because I'll say, I mean, because his name of his comic, the name of Jack's comic book is Cool World.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
Cool
it's like,
World.
okay, I can completely understand why he'd think he
created it.
created
Well,
it,
but
'cause it's
that's
Cool World.
But I think that's it. I think when he was going there in his dreams, quote unquote, and he sees this vision somewhere in his vision, he heard or saw the term Cool World and went, that'd be a great name for a comic book, and then titled it that.
You might be right. I mean, I have a feeling the writers are what we were originally thinking, is that he created Cool World and all, but I think you're just finding plot holes that...
Well, it's possible, but I mean, again, Brad Pitt lays it out. But I was going to say, too, to John's piece just now, when Gabriel Byrne and Kim Basinger start to flip out after they've had sex and they start blinking into new characters, those characters haven't been drawn in this world. They're blinking into reality as a new doodle, a totally different doodle that doesn't exist. So in that way, they're literally becoming a different life form at that point.
Okay. Phew. Yeah,
it's far deeper than.
Oh yeah,
listen, this movie's shit. I want to be clear. I'm not at all impressed by the movie. I'm simply pointing out the science of it, and agreed. I am in agreement with John. The science is flawed.
Yeah,
it's not perfect.
So obviously, we've talked a little bit about this, but Frank gets sucked into the cool world. We meet Holli Would. She's a cartoon Marilyn Monroe knockoff, who wants to go to the real world. We also meet Jack Deebs, who believes that he created Cool World while in prison. Holly brings Jack into Cool World as a plot to get into the real world. So she tries to seduce him. And then that's kind of when I remember, like, oh yeah, now I remember why I liked this movie when I was 9.
Yeah. But she is also watching, I forgot what movie it was, but she was watching a Marilyn Monroe film.
Oh.
When we first meet her.
That's right, yeah.
She was like kind of, I guess, mimicking the actions and the movements and the voice and all that kind of stuff. So she was really, really trying to become Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, she even says like she's seen all of her movies.
Yeah.
and knows all the lines.
Like I could be her.
And, yeah. So then Jack and Holly go to a club where Jack finally meets Frank, who we now find out is a detective in Cool World. He's been there for 50 years. He hasn't aged, kind of like Brad Pitt in the real world, I guess.
Yeah, right.
That's not true.
A little bit.
He looks like shit now compared to that baby face that we saw in Cool World.
Well, I'm trying to think of like, I'm trying to remember the last movie I've seen him in. Actually, I can't. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, and maybe Ad Astra. I watched Ad Astra, and I was thinking that was horrible.
Fury, Inglourious Bastards. Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few. He's got wrinkles now. He looks like Kim Basinger in this movie. He looks less like Brad Pitt and more like Kim Basinger.
But Frank explains to Jack the one law that they have is that noids, which is
humanoids,
that's what they call
humans,
the humans that are in the cool world. Noids can't have sex with doodles.
I don't know. Doodles.
Yeah, you can't have sex with doodles.
You gotta have that bad Brad Pitt accent.
Man. That was just...
Sounds like me trying to impersonate anyone ever.
Yeah,
yeah, right.
Basically,
it was you were honing in on your Brad Pitt Cool
That's
World
all it is.
accent. Yeah,
I was that influenced as a child.
Yeah, I like Brad Pitt as an actor, but him in this it's cringy. I don't.
But you know what's sad? Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
What's sad is you see him here totally killing the how not to act in a film. And then the same year he does A River Runs Through It.
I was about to say, think about some of the movies that are around the same time. Like he's in Thelma and Louise, A River Runs Through It, Interview with the Vampire.
So I agree. What I was going to say was he's actually the brightest shining star in this movie. That's how sad it is. As shit as he's acting. I mean, are you impressed by Gabriel Byrne?
No, he's barely even in the film.
Exactly. Are you impressed by Kim Basinger and her ridiculousness in this movie? No.
I mean, visually,
not her acting ability.
He's the best acting person in this movie, and it's still awful.
Yeah. So fast forwarding a little bit, so Holly does have sex with Jack, and turns into an obviously cold Kim Basinger.
Yes.
I did chuckle once around this time when this was my second time that I chuckled in the movie. It's there was a little phone cartoon doodle.
Yes.
And when Nails was trying to call Brad Pitt, Frank, and the phone is like having like PTSD because of the headaches that I thought was funny concept.
The head or the hand. What do you call it?
The handset.
I'm sorry. I'm like
you're dating yourself.
I'm really dating myself. I'm sorry.
I've only known cell phones.
Man.
He's like, what's the thing called? You put it to your ear.
I was
Netflix used to deliver movies.
They used to put them in your mailbox. Wow.
The internet used to be delivered.
No, when the handset was like mashing on his head. That was pretty funny. I did laugh at that, and he was trying to get to him. before he like got knocked out or something.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But I was even thinking that 3 years after this movie, Brad Pitt was in Seven, and that movie was really good.
Yeah.
And when he was holding the revolver, kind of like sideways and like talking to Deebs, I'm thinking you're gonna do that same thing 3 years now or 3 years down the road. Going,
does he?
What's in the box?
Yeah, I guess he kind of does. Yeah.
You're gonna do it. Point at a guy who became a pedophile.
That's
oh,
right.
Wait. Okay.
What's in the box? Yeah.
Released.
Yeah.
Or not convicted or whatever.
Just saying.
So then, Holli secretly steals Jack's fountain pen. I have a note that I wrote. She's still cold. Jack takes Holli.
Her nipples.
Her nipples.
I'm like, I know what he's talking about. It's all nipple play with Justin. I mean, yeah.
Which okay, so that scene when they were doing the Deeb.
The Deebs.
Instead of the Deebs, yeah. Instead of doing the deed, but anyway, bad joke.
No, you're good. It's just funny.
When they were going in between the scene upstairs in the bedroom to her, I guess, henchman.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like, okay, this is just really just whacked out because they're trying to witness this occasion, and they stack random things, and of course, in cartoon fashion, they stack like a bone on top of a mattress, and then
a car
on top of the mattress. It's like, okay, it's far-fetched. It's a cartoon, cool, whatever. And then when it actually does happen, the climax of that scene happens. It explodes and knocks them down, and they're all smoking. I'm like, what is going on in this movie?
Well, I'll say, guys, I read Ebert, and he does a paragraph on this scene.
Oh, okay.
He says
this scene.
On just this scene.
Jesus.
He says the central appeal of the movie is apparently meant to be the possibility of sex between Holli Would and a human, but the climactic scene, with Holli warming up in the preliminaries, is senselessly interrupted by cross-cutting to another scene of no apparent relevance. And indeed, dramatic tension in the film is constantly undermined by Bashki's jittery cutaways.
Yeah, those cutaways were just. I was probably about 10 minutes in, and I'm like, man, if I didn't have to watch this for this podcast, then I would have shut it off.
Let me say this though. I think Bakshi, is that his name?
Bakshi.
Yeah. I think he had a vision. Okay, I think the writers had a vision. I do. And I think that the studio quite possibly ruined that vision, which has happened multiple times, right?
Yeah.
Brazil, was a mess up. Terry Gilliam had to fight to get his version out, etc.
Yeah.
And I think that vision was destroyed. I think that the cartoon-ishness of that scene and the childishness of that scene was destroyed by the studio.
You think that's part of them trying to soften up
the obviously awkward, guy boning a cartoon?
Yeah, because that would be awkward to be sitting in a movie theater with 100 other possibly adults
watching hentai.
Yeah, watching hentai.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, is this where it originated?
No, but I mean, but I think that just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I agree, this movie's garbage. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's no way around it. Like there's nothing done well in this movie. There's nothing done well. Like Roger Rabbit came out, I believe, a year before this movie.
88.
4 years before this movie.
Oh yeah.
And everything in Roger Rabbit that is basically the same premise, cartoons living with humans,
and they just did everything better,
is done 20 times better.
Well, and they even the Brad Pitt and any of the cartoons or any human or Noid and cartoons or doodles, when they were looking at each other, man, they were way off.
It's off.
I mean, it wasn't like, it's kind of like looking over a shoulder. It's like you're looking into the next room or the next dimension.
Brad Pitt walking with his girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
And he puts his arm around her, and it's floating like 16 inches off her shoulder. I'm like, so you obviously put your arm around like a piece of wood.
Hover hand.
Yeah. Or you're just hanging it in midair. And it was so just badly put together that, I mean, it's laughable. It's not everything that was serious about that. And I'm kind of glad to hear that, originally it was a horror. I'm like, okay, well, then there wasn't. Some of this shit starts to make sense, like all the floating, disembodied heads that are just floating around and stuff like that. It appears to me, anyway, when you say it like that, if you wipe away the dialogue and the plot, there's some scary shit that's actually happening in this movie, right?
Yeah.
But it's just watered down with this pathetic story and this absolutely laughable scenery, the 2D things popping up, or the 3D, I guess, set pieces that are realistic
like
set
cardboard.
pieces that are they're cardboard, that are basically play 2D settings,
Right.
like whatever it's called. I forget. They're like facades, right?
Yeah.
Like you would
Yep.
see on a stage, like
Right.
on stage play. They just suddenly pop up out of nowhere, and they're suddenly, interacting with those. His car goes from being a cartoon car to being one of those. I'm like, this is just stupid. It's just dumb. It doesn't make any sense. But if you tell me, okay, it's actually supposed to be like a modern day neo-noir animation film, okay, I'm kind of with that. I can see that.
I saw somewhere that, like, the time of this movie, like the length of it was supposed to be like well over 2 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw it somewhere. I don't know if it was on
Jesus.
IMDb or Wikipedia, but it was just like originally like 2 hours and 30 minutes or something like that.
But
I'm like,
again, if it had been an interesting horror flick,
yeah,
I could maybe be sucked into that.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring up Roger Rabbit because the studio originally billed this as a down and dirty version of Roger Rabbit.
I mean, what would happen if Jessica Rabbit banged Eddie, whatever his name was,
Yeah.
the detective?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Ebert started his review
Oh, okay.
by saying the DJ who was hosting the radio station's free preview of Cool World leapt onto the stage and promised the audience, if you liked Roger Rabbit, you'll love Cool World. He was wrong, but you can't blame him. He hadn't seen the movie. I have, and I will now promise you that if you liked Roger Rabbit, quit while you're ahead.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, again, nothing. You can't point to Cool World and go, so this movie did it better.
Oh, no.
There's
No,
nothing.
nothing about it.
Nothing about it that you can say that.
Right.
Like, oh, you like Brad Pitt? Watch Cool World. This movie takes Brad Pitt and just takes him to the net. No.
You can't beat Bob Hoskins. Or Hoskins. I mean.
Hoskins, yeah. But I mean, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, there's nothing you can point to. Roger Rabbit, you can go, okay, well, if you like the idea of humans and animated characters interacting in the same world, watch Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
It's a great example
They
of
do
that.
it 10 times better,
Yeah.
and the plot's more interesting, and their adult themes are done better.
Well, they're more subtle.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, then Holly does have sex with him, as we discussed. They go into the real world. They start flipping in and out of being doodles. We meet Dr. Whiskers. He's been living in the real world, apparently,
Yep.
for a while. Frank chases Holly up into a hotel balcony, where she turns into a doodle herself and then pushes him off to his death. And then, Holly pulls a spike out of the hotel sign, lets loose Pandora's box of doodles. That's what I wrote in the notes.
yeah,
Into Las Vegas.
Okay, so the spike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I must have missed something on how it got to the real world.
Vegas Vinny took it there.
Okay, so Vegas Vinny was a doodle
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
who turned human.
We assume.
Okay,
Something happened that allowed Vegas Vinny to make that hotel, and that's where he hid the spike. The
Okay.
spike is, again, it's poorly fleshed out because I have a feeling that the studio edited the shit out of the story to
Okay,
the
yeah.
point where nothing is left. But essentially, yeah, the story was Vegas Vinny went to the real world. He was a doodle. I guess he crossed over and became human and hid the spike on top of the ceiling.
but
on
we
top
do
of
know
the hotel.
that doodles can cross over to the real world because
Yes.
of that scientist guy,
Right.
and he was trying to get the spike back
Right.
to Cool World, just because I guess that's where it belonged.
Yes.
But I mean, we have no visual of Vegas Vinny.
No, Vegas
No,
Vinny
he's
never
just
shows
a-
up.
He's
Yeah.
just a legend.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's really weird. I thought Vegas Vinny ended up being like the Doctor. I thought the Doctor was going to be Vegas Vinny.
Yeah, why not?
But-
Sounds like a good movie as well.
It
Sure.
does, yeah. Something.
This is one of those choose your own adventure
Something
movies.
to tie the movie together and give it a complete circle.
Yeah, some kind of
Something.
structure.
No,
Yeah.
Vegas Vinny is the worst Chekhov's pistol again. Just we're going to discuss him. He's going to come up a bunch, but you'll never meet him.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just really bad. I guess because the spike, the whole spike thing, I'm like, okay, how in the world did it get to the real world type thing?
Yeah.
But it was just those one-liners that if you missed it, then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
You're totally
You might have been
lost.
asleep.
Yeah, I was.
So basically, then we go through this whole heavy metal-esque kind of just random shit happening all across Las Vegas. And
Well, it's not random per se. What's happening is that the two universes are colliding.
right,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
they're-
just mean, yeah.
Yeah. So as they collide, we're seeing normal people become doodles. What's interesting, though, is that you would think if the two universes were colliding, that the opposite would also be true.
Right.
So normal people, noids would become doodles, and doodles would become noids. And we don't see that. What we see is everyone becoming a doodle.
Right.
So that's interesting. So apparently that spike had nothing to do with Cool World and had everything to do with us keeping our shit from becoming cartoons.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which is not discussed. And again, makes no sense. But anyhow, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Ebert comments on that too.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Yeah.
He says, look too at sequences in Vegas casinos where ordinary gamblers turn into cartoons and back again. Could this be funny, bizarre, intriguing, surprising? Maybe in another movie. The audience I sat in fork silence.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Whew. So Jack returns to Spike. All the doodles go back into the cool world, and the universes are aligned once again. And then Frank turns into a doodle because of reasons.
Well, because he died from falling off the building.
Well, because he died because a doodle killed him.
Right.
Right.
I guess what I meant by for reasons is because it's convenient.
Yes.
It's pretty convenient.
Thank God we invented the spike that turns people into doodles. That way when they kill
doodle,
people,
the doodle killing clause.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of strange things that happen at the end because there's no real resolution. Apparently, Holli Would and Jack Deebs become two different from what they were blinking into. Mm-hmm. They become two different characters now. Holli Wood's back to being Holli Would, and then Jack Deebs is now a superhero.
Right.
Right. And then what's his name again? Brad Pitt's character?
Frank
dies and becomes a weird
version of
himself.
Yeah.
The worst drawn person in the entire fucking all of Cool World. He's the most sketchy drawn.
You're right. Yeah.
He's handsome too.
Yeah. Is he though?
Well, that's what Lonette said.
He's got like 2 commas for eyes. Like it's just shitly drawn. Yeah, and then you basically they essentially end on, okay, well, Cool World will continue on being Cool World, and whatever that means. If that means that I guess they'll continue inspiring cartoons in our world, essentially. I don't know.
No idea.
It's very strange. The ending is the least resolute of many movies I've seen lately.
Yeah. Well, I do have a question to pose for you guys.
Okay.
No, I will not watch this film again.
No.
Would you, Holli Would you could?
No. How would you feel if, for the Jack Deebs character, that Willem Dafoe was Jack Deebs?
You know what? It would actually kind of make more sense.
just Willem Dafoe's craziness.
I would, yes,
Honestly,
exactly.
I don't think it makes a difference.
I mean, Willem Dafoe in this movie would probably have been a little bit better as Deebs. Yeah, I would say so.
Because that was the director's first choice for Deebs, was Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
And he wisely said no.
Yes.
Actually, I don't know.
I'm going to say that he wisely said no.
He probably said no.
He looked at the script and was like, I don't know what's going on.
I will say this, though. Gabriel Byrne is not a bad actor. Gabriel Byrne is perfectly fine.
But he's hardly seen in the film.
Well, that's my point, though. Willem Dafoe, let's say he takes it. We still barely see him. I mean, the only difference is that when he's on screen, he's going to be Willem Dafoe, which is either going to be...
Which is a scene stiller.
He can be.
Yeah.
But sometimes he can just be weird Willem Dafoe, where you're like, ooh, you're being weird Willem Dafoe now. Like,
right.
I don't know. And then other times he shows up and you're like, oh, you're Oscar winner Willem Dafoe. You're that guy. Like, think about him in Boondock Saints, right? Like, oh, it looks like I'm going to need some jelly with my bagel. Like, what if that Willem Dafoe shows up in Cool World?
It
right?
would fit.
Totally weird guy. Or cream cheese. That's what he says. Looks like I'm going to need some cream cheese with my bagel. Yeah, and I love that Willem Dafoe in that role.
Right.
But if he shows up in Cool World, it's a different movie. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
That's why I was posing the question.
I know, but I would just question whether or not he's needed.
Right.
Jack Deebs, Gabriel Byrne, I think because I don't know who the main character is in this movie.
No, I don't. No one does.
Right, so I'm going to assume it's Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say I'm assuming Jack is the main. I mean, yeah, because he's quote unquote the creator, right? And then he's the person that Holli is going to to get to the real world.
Who do we end?
But see, then too, it's Holli. Holli could also be the main character.
Yeah.
See, I don't think
Brad Pitt could be the main character.
Yeah, I think Brad Pitt's the main character in this thing.
So then basically what we're saying is this is a shitty written movie.
Yes. The reason why I'm going with this Brad Pitt is because we bookend Brad Pitt.
Right.
We begin with him at the beginning, and we see him at the end become the doodle.
That's just supposed to be an audience pleaser, though.
No, I'm with you.
You can't see Brad Pitt die.
But what I'm saying is we bookend with him. He's the last doodle that we see. Isn't he? Or do we see Gabriel Byrne and Holli Would at the end?
We see those two
both.
at the end.
Yeah. We just
Yes,
see both
they
couples.
walk off in the comic book into the sunset of the comic book, I think.
Okay, so Spider and all them. That's right before
That's
that.
right before that.
Oh well,
Yeah.
then shit. Now I'm back to I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm back
because
to-
then there's that little heart cartoon that comes
Yeah.
up, and then Nails comes through the Porky Pig sign at
Yes.
the end.
Nails is the main character. There we
Nails
go.
is the main character.
The
That's
spider.
it.
He's actually the main
Spider.
character.
Well, one more. So the other first choice for Holli Would was Drew Barrymore
Wasn't she like 16 in this movie? In that
at
age?
this time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
she had just done
That would have been
Firestarter
very, very weird.
in
Yeah.
84. I think was Firestarter, and she was like
See.
11.
Yeah, someone look up.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, so apparently that was his first choice for Holli Would. Which, if she was like 16, that
I guess she would have been. She would have
She
been.
was
19.
born in 75.
So she would have been.
she would have been 20.
17. This
Yeah.
movie came
17?
out in 92,
Holy cow.
Yeah,
right?
17,
So
yeah.
she would have been
Yeah.
17. Yeah, that would have made it awkward.
A little bit.
little bit.
A little bit like Leon the Professional, but more awkward even. I mean, she was supposed to be dancy and all that kind of stuff. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
18? All right.
Yeah. What was his name again? Brakshi?
Bracci.
Yeah.
Bakshi.
Bakshi.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bad guy.
Well, so Kyle, do you have budget info for us?
Yes, I do. It's I guess the estimated budget was $30 million.
Lot of drawing.
I was a little shocked when
Wow.
I first saw that number. I was like, "Woo, $30 million
A lot of animation though, man.
Yeah,
A lot of
so-
hand drawing.
The question is, was this a success?
Did it make it
No.
30? I don't think
Did
so.
it make its money back, or did it make a lot of money back?
I cannot see how it made $30 million back. But
Okay.
you know what's interesting, though? Like, even though this is a terrible, crappy movie,
Yeah,
like, a lot of people have fond memories of it, and I'm one of them. Like,
I don't.
No. I mean, it's like a nostalgia movie. Like, I don't
Right.
remember it being this bad because when I saw it, I wasn't a film critic.
Right.
You know? So, yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if a lot of people do ever go back to watch this movie again, and it just shatters their childhood.
It probably does.
Because it did mine.
Eddie, John, do you think this thing made its money back?
Nope.
No.
Okay, yeah, you're all correct. Its gross worldwide is 14.1 million.
Wow.
So not even half.
Yeah, not even half.
Wow.
So
Major
Sad.
bomb.
yeah, the opening weekend was July 12th, 1992. Which that's really, like right on the corner. $5.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can find out how long it was before it was pulled from theaters.
Oh, yeah. How
Probably.
long it stayed in
how
the movie
lo-
circuit?
Yeah, how long
Theater
how long did they let this thing ride until they went, nope, waste of screen time.
Friday through Sunday.
Okay,
Nah,
I
it had
can
to
see
be a
that.
couple weeks.
Yeah,
at least.
just a weekend. All right, we're gone.
So Rotten Tomatoes, though, the critics, or I'll actually do the audience first. The audience give this a 31%.
Ooh. All
That's
right.
higher than I thought.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I was thinking, though, is a lot of people are probably going back to what they remember the movie being as their childhood.
They're just flipping through the list of movies and going, oh yeah, I like this movie.
Yeah,
8.
that was an okay movie,
Yeah.
25, something like that, yeah. But the critics gave it a 4%.
Ooh. Ew, that's
Yeah.
bad.
That's
Yeah.
a bad one.
That's
Damn.
probably
4?
one of the lowest on Rotten Tomatoes, but
I think
don't
that's
know.
our lowest critic score
I think it is, actually.
for this podcast.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, basically, the reason I picked this was because I'm not a big animation film buff, as you guys know.
Was this getting back at us for
This-
having
yeah.
the animation category in the first place?
Yep. So I really had two movies that I could pick. I could either pick this or Roger Rabbit. I kind of figured let's try something different.
Sure.
So that's why I went with the whole Cool World thing. Plus, again, the whole nostalgia thing that I was talking about just a few minutes ago. Of I kind of liked this movie when I was a kid. Now that I'm grown up, it's a crappy, terrible movie.
Yeah.
So with that, like honestly, there is no redeeming stuff in this movie.
No.
Brad Pitt's awful. Kim Basinger, her acting is awful. She's pretty in the movie, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I didn't really think Gabriel Byrne was all that great. I mean, he's probably fine, but like John said, he's barely in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Even the animation was crappy to me.
Yeah. Like the motion tracking and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff was just horrible.
Yeah, the motion tracking was awful. You saw like when some of the doodles were walking down sidewalks, like they were skating, instead of one foot in front of the other.
Michael
walking.
Jackson moonwalk.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I don't. Even just the cinematography, just like it was so bland and boring, and I don't.
Where are you gonna rate it?
You picked it.
I know, but that's fine.
You did this to yourself, sir.
I know.
That's right.
That's fine. I'm glad I watched it again, so that I can know
Not to watch it ever again.
my childhood probably sucked.
Would you recommend this film to anyone?
Nope.
If you're drinking a lot, you might think, I don't know. No, not even that. I don't know. Okay, 0.5.
Okay.
It's going to be around that same area of Bill and Ted for me, I think.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so I knew how bad this movie was, and when you said it, I wanted to stab you. It's just not done well. I do think that the director had a vision that looks like somebody aborted it. I do think the writers probably had something. I mean, to find out that it was supposed to be a horror movie, there's a glimpse of brilliance there. I think that would have been a really interesting horror movie. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But again, it was aborted prior to them being able to do that. Kim Basinger getting involved apparently was the worst possible thing that could happen to it. Again, I think she looks just downtrodden in this movie. The minute she becomes human, I'm like, oh God, oh no. Go back to like My Stepmother's an Alien. That's where she needs to go back to. Let Dan Aykroyd make his daughter believe that you're somehow human. That's what needs to happen with you.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing really great to say about it. It just falls apart pretty damn quickly. And the premise, as John pointed out, the science of the movie is very weird.
Very, very flawed.
Yeah,
Yep.
The premise of it is very strange. And I thought that everyone kind of picked up on the Cool World was a universe prior, like without us being involved kind of thing. But I guess that's not true. So that's a flaw in their way as well. I mean, again, I thought it was obvious, but I guess not. So yeah, for me, I'm going to probably go, because God damn, I can't even believe I'm going to say this. I would almost suffer through Bill and Ted's Face the Music again.
Yep. Amen, brother.
Then watch this. So on that alone, I have to say I'm going to go 0.3.
All right.
Okay.
2 of those are for Kim Basinger's nipples, and
Yep.
one of them is for Brad Pitt's acting.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep. There you go.
All right. So, yeah, you guys said amazing things about the movie, about how bad it is. Justin, when you were saying that, when you watched this as a kid, you remembered it differently.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of looked at this movie as your kind of like a Ren and Stimpy, right? So if you watched Ren and Stimpy when you were a kid, it's like, yeah, that's a really hilarious show, because you just didn't really look past anything, right? So it's all the adult humor was gone. You just looked at it as a cartoon and you just laughed at it. This is probably the Ren and Stimpy, because when you watch it as an adult, you're like, oh, why did my parents allow me to watch this? This is terrible.
Yeah, because I think I saw this when I was 9. So.
Yeah. But, I have some fond memories of Ren and Stimpy. I still like Ren and Stimpy, but, I can kind of just compare this movie to that. Like, you just have these weird cutscenes of just really bad ADHD going on.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to rate this a 0.4.
Okay, 0.4 for Kyle. John?
This movie is terrible. It is one of the worst. I'm a big a fan of history and keeping things around, and it was made so. No, this movie needs to go away. It needs to die a horrible death, and every copy of it needs to be destroyed. This is the worst piece of cinema I've ever seen.
It's E.T.
Ever.
for the Atari 2600.
This is it beats that. As far as it's this is like you put ET in the Atari and it explodes and then melts, right? I mean, it's so bad, and I mean, it's something to say. The best animation in this film is the rabbit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the rabbit saying the man's in the bedroom. Like that's the best animation in the whole film.
Yeah.
Which probably was done by which probably just was a recycled animation that they just redubbed.
Yeah, probably.
Gosh, it was horrible, so bad. I'm lesser of a person having watched this movie.
Fair enough.
I
Can't
died
wait.
a little.
I can't wait for your blog post on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know how I'm gonna write it. To be quite honest, I started out like I was talking to Kyle today, and I started out Cool World is a, and then I just laid on the question mark because I have no idea what to write about this thing.
Yeah.
So that being said, 0.1.
0.1.
Wow.
Okay. I think that might be the lowest.
Yes.
It has to be.
Rating
That is
we've
the
ever
lowest
given.
score.
This
Yes,
is the worst.
Justin.
Yeah.
On your path to make the worst movie list, you're getting close, man.
You
This is a good
definitely
one.
beat Devil's Reign. That's
Listen,
for sure.
all you gotta do now is put up Birdemic, and we're
well,
there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this gets a 0.3.
Love it.
Awesome.
I didn't know a movie could score that low.
Oh,
Well,
How low can
this
we
is, This
go?
is not a movie. This is a monstrosity.
Yeah, it's definitely confused as a.
I
as
do
a
want to
movie.
point out the Devil's Reign is still pretty goddamn close for me. Okay,
Nah, it's a 1.9.
No,
No.
I would watch Devil's Reign
For me.
every day for the rest of my life if they promised me that this movie would be destroyed, that Cool World would be destroyed. I would watch it every day
No,
on repeat.
no. Devil's
Yep.
Reign. I gave it a 0.7. This was a 0.3. It's all in the same neighborhood. It's shit. It's a shit neighborhood.
Well,
This is Cool World. Your neighborhood's Cool World.
Just pointing that out. Go ahead.
well, we need to
continue,
we
yeah.
need to spin to see who is going to be picking the next
Oh,
movie.
that's right.
So
between Kyle and John, right?
I believe so.
Oh
Okay, here we go.
Bink, bink, bink,
And it's me.
bink.
So it's John. Okay.
Genre.
All right, genre. Here we go.
Still a few left.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be crime.
Crime in a future time.
Cops.
Cops.
Okay, so I know Eddie wants me to pick a newer movie, but I'm going to go all the way back to 1995
Okay.
in honor of Richard Donner
Okay.
and a movie I've never seen starring Stallone and Antonio Banderas and Julianne Moore.
The Specialist. No.
Assassins.
Assassins.
The
That's what it
Assassin.
is. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen this movie actually.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
And the synopsis is professional hitman Robert Rath wants to fulfill a few more contracts before retiring, but unscrupulous, ambitious newcomer hitman Miguel Bain keeps killing Rath's targets.
Yeah. So this came out right around the same time. I think this was 95.
Mm-hmm.
The Specialist, I believe, was 97 with what's her name from Sharon Stone. With Sharon Stone. The Specialist has a shower sex scene that's generally considered to be like one of the most gratuitous, unneeded, just softcore but not quite softcore porn possible, right? This movie has all of the hits with none of the hits, if you know what I mean. So it's as good in terms of that, but with no gratuitous sex and a very strange relationship with Antonio Banderas. So,
Gotcha.
Alrighty.
yeah.
All right, well, if you want to follow along with us, the crew at Screen Riot, just go to justwatch.com and look up The Assassins. Sorry, The Assassins?
No, it's
Or
just called Assassins.
Just
Yeah.
Assassins, okay.
Or
From-
Assassininos
yes.
in Spanish.
From 1995, and we will see you next week.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Later.